Okay. I deserved the money. Woman ended her boyfriend's life for a fake $30 million inheritance. Chat, would you do it for $30 million? Don't answer. The FBI might be in here.
This woman from North Dakota poisoned her longtime boyfriend with—
Why am I not surprised it's from North Dakota? I had a friend from North Dakota, and she told me the craziest stories of her living in North Dakota. I almost said the city, but I guess it doesn't matter. She had some wild stories of driving through a cornfield and then abandoning the car with her friends, and then all those friends getting blasted and drunk. I'm not even kidding. Lots of meth? No, they were not methods, but they definitely drank a lot.
Antifreeze after believing he was about to inherit $30 million was planning to leave her. Except the inheritance was completely fake. It was from a scam call. And now she's serving 25 years in prison for a crime that accomplished absolutely nothing. So it's safe to say, this is one of those—
But I don't think 25 is enough. I don't think so. I think if you take someone's life, that's life in prison. Sorry. No. Yeah, only 25. That's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Stories that I'm covering where every single detail makes the situation worse, because what started as a decade-long relationship ended with a poisoned sweet tea, lies, and a scam that destroyed multiple lives.
A Minot woman who pleaded guilty to fatally poisoning her boyfriend with antifreeze will serve 25 years.
Antifreeze too. That's a horrible death too. Like your organs just seize up.
In prison.
I feel like all of us are kind of sitting here like, okay, how did this happen? Well, this is Ina Thea Knoiger. She's a 47-year-old woman from Minot, North Dakota.
Holy shit, she does not look 47. My mom did not have gray hair like that at 47. My mom only started graying at like 55 or plus or something. God damn.
Who had been in a relationship with Stephen Edward Riley Jr. for roughly 10 years. And by all accounts from both friends and court documents, they seem like a pretty typical long-term couple living together in the Minot area. Stephen was 51 years old, had 5 sons from previous relationships, and
holy hell,
maintained a solid circle of friends who genuinely cared about him. Nothing about their relationship seemed unusual or alarming from the outside. However, in early September of 2023, Stephen received news that would completely change the course of his life. Unfortunately, not in the way he originally thought it would, but it definitely changed the course of his life. Because Stephen received a phone call informing him that he was about to inherit $30 million from what was supposedly a distant relative or estate abroad. And Stephen was instructed to meet with an attorney at the Minot airport September 3rd to sign paperwork and complete the inheritance transaction. According to Stephen and everyone he told, this was legitimate, real, and about to transform his life. Again, it would transform his life, but there was nothing real about this. Here's where the financial motive comes into focus, because according to friends who later spoke with investigators and the press, Stephen had been discussing plans to leave Ina once he secured the money. And this was an
I'm assuming she wasn't a very nice lady. Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna be mean to, like, older people. Like, okay, maybe she's ugly, but, like, come on.
a speculation or even a rumor, because Stephen really had these conversations with people who were close to him. So not only in the days leading up to September 3rd, but also the day itself on the way to the airport.
And he kind of just wanted to leave her because she didn't really have a job and was like leeching off of him.
So he wanted to leave, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Did Steve ever
Oh my god.
talk about leaving, you know?
All the time.
Okay.
Every day.
And based on what happened,
Oh my god. Holy. Are those the sons?
next, Ina was aware on the intentions to end the relationship. So one friend told police that earlier in the morning on September 3rd, before the airport meeting was scheduled, Ina had thrown Stephen's belongings outside of their home. The friend described Ina as visibly angry and upset because Stephen was going to leave her once the money came through. So now we have this woman who's about to lose her boyfriend of 10 years, who's
boyfriend of 10 years, not even married.
watching him prepare to come into $30 million. And I guess she just decided that, that letting the relationship end was not an acceptable option. But Ina, I guess, just came up with her own solution to this problem of hers. She believed that as Steven's common-law wife, that she would legally be entitled to a portion of his inheritance after his passing. So on the morning of September 3rd, as Steven prepared for his meeting at the airport, Ina was making him sweet tea throughout the day. So according to the court documents in the arrest...
Oh no! Sweet to the taste and easily disguisable as sweet drinks. I'm never accepting like sweet tea from any of you motherfuckers. You're gonna kill me and wear my skin.
Affidavit, this is when prosecutors say that she began putting ethylene glycol into his drinks, which is antifreeze. And it has one particular dangerous characteristic. It's sweet tasting, which makes it incredibly easy to disguise in beverages like, well, sweet tea. And also, this is why antifreeze manufacturers add the bitter agents to their products to prevent accidental ingestion by children and animals who might be attracted to the sweet taste.
Idea.
And unfortunately,
I've never wanted to, but okay.
Steven drank the tea Ina prepared for him, completely unaware that it contained a lethal dose of poison. And later that evening, Steven headed to the Minnow airport with some friends who joined him to meet the supposed attorney and witness the moment. Everyone was excited, ready to celebrate what they thought would be their friend's incredible good fortune. And that's when everything started to go sideways, because while waiting at the airport for the lawyer to arrive, Steven began complaining that he felt drunk, which was strange because he didn't consume any alcohol. So the people
he knows his liquor
were present confirmed to the investigators that Steven had been completely sober throughout the entire day.
He made that comment that he had not been drinking.
He said, I haven't been drinking. He actually made that comment quite a few times.
You know what blows my mind is that, like, you sit around all day doing nothing, right? You'd be watching TV. I've watched a lot of, like, you know, crime investigation, like, oh, woman murders husband murders woman for money, right? Do you really think they don't do autopsies and, like, they check the blood, like, what it had? How do you not think that you wouldn't get investigated? Like, oh, he accidentally drank some antifreeze. Yeah, convenient, huh?
That night.
Like, I know cops can be really stupid, but, like, I mean, this is pretty closed shut case, man.
Because when we were at the airport, I told him, you know, just sip some water, Steve. And he kept saying, God, I feel like I'm drunk on it. He said, I haven't drank anything all day.
One friend, Billy, told police that he'd spent most of September 2nd with Steven, and Steven seemed to be completely fine. No signs of being sick, no indication of physical distress, nothing unusual at all. But now, less than 24 hours later, Steven was telling everyone that he felt intoxicated. Then, the stomach pain started. Because suddenly he started complaining about severe stomach pain and became increasingly unsteady on his feet. His friends watched as he nearly fell over multiple times just trying to walk. So his condition was deteriorating fast, right in front of everyone. And it was kind of obvious that something was very wrong. And Wesley Torgerson, one of Steven's close friends who was at the airport later, told the police that within a very short time, Steven's health declined to the point where he was genuinely concerned for his friend's life. He and the other guys immediately wanted to call 911 or drive Steven to the emergency room, but Ina was certain that medical attention was not necessary. She insisted that her boyfriend was just suffering from a heat stroke and needed to just go home and rest.
A heat stroke in North Dakota!
So she claimed that she had medical training and knew exactly what to do for a heat stroke, so there was no need to panic or involve any actual medical professionals.
He's not happy. She was supposed to call the ambulance. She never called the ambulance.
And I guess just for context here, after looking up the weather, the temperature in Minot on September 2nd and 3rd was between 89.
It's the fucking Midwest. It's the northern Midwest. Are we joking? This reminds... Plays in the desert? Bro, this reminds me of a really old crime investigation episode that I remember seeing. The woman got the guy, her husband, she got out health insurance on him, or like life insurance or something, got him on the boat, got him drunk, beat him over the head with like a hammer, and then threw him overboard. And when they found his body, the police did, they asked her like, oh, what happened? She's like, oh, he drowned. And they're like, so what about the fucking hammer or, you know, the clubbing over the head, right over his, you know, the back of his head where he can't see? And she's like, oh, you know, like he drowned and probably fell and hit the bottom of the lake. And then they were like, but he's an Olympic swimmer. How did he drown? Like, there's so many layers to this stupidity that, like, just... Like, how did you not think of this? You're just so gun-ho for the money that you didn't use your brain at all.
In 95
Heat
degrees
stroke
Fahrenheit.
at 58
So, yeah, it was
degrees.
definitely
Yeah,
hot
that
out,
makes
but not the kind of heat that would lead you to this situation. And Wesley later
No.
said that he allowed Ina to take her boyfriend home because she seemed confident in her medical knowledge, and he trusted that she would know what to do. And I mean, he had no reason to suspect that she was the one who caused Steven's condition in the first place, because they were together for 10 years.
Well, when Steve got sick up at the airport, the next day he died. And she said, well, I know what I'm doing. I worked as a nurse for 32 or 34 years, and I started adding, to be a nurse, you got to be 4, 5, 6 years college at 20, and then you add 34 on to 26, which makes her older than she was, and she hasn't worked for a long time, so she wasn't telling the truth.
And by the time they left the airport, Steven's condition progressed from feeling drunk to genuinely alarming. Within an hour of getting home, he was puking all over the place and couldn't walk on his own. He was drifting in and out of consciousness, barely able to respond to questions or maintain awareness of his surroundings. So I don't know about you guys, but that's definitely not the symptoms of a heat stroke, but symptoms of severe poisoning. But his girlfriend still didn't call for medical help, because according to reports, she had over 12 hours alone with Steven throughout the night and into the next morning, and during that time, she watched his health decline to the point where he became
he'll be fine. He's just puking blood. He's fine.
completely unresponsive. And it wasn't until the next morning on September 4th that Wesley went to the house to check on his friend, as he was understandably very concerned for his condition. However, when he arrived, Ina spoke to him through a closed door and said Steven had already gone to a walk-in clinic and was being treated. And Wesley was worried enough that he didn't just take her word for it, so he drove to every single walk-in clinic in Minot to look for his friend. And he even went as far to check the emergency room at Trinity Hospital.
In the afternoon, he actually gets taken to the hospital by ambulance.
Okay.
What time would
It was in the morning. I went there earlier. I knocked, and she didn't say anything right away. Then I knocked again. And who is it? And I said, well, it's Wes, and she knew it.
Because she saw you.
Yeah. I said, is Steve there? No, he's at the walk-in clinic. Same thing again. And I said, Ina, I've been to the walk-in clinics. I've been to the hospital. He's not there. Where is he? And then she locked the door.
But his friend wasn't at any of them because he'd never left the house. It wasn't until later on that afternoon, more than 24 hours after Steven first showed symptoms at the airport, that an ambulance was finally called to the residence for an unconscious man.
911. What? My husband's really sick. He got
he's
heat stroke
real
yesterday,
sick,
and
chat.
now he's not waking up.
What's the phone number you're calling from?
I don't have a phone number. It's a phone that never got finished getting set up. Come on, babe.
Okay, but he is breathing?
Oh, no.
Yes. He's snoring.
He's dying! He's snoring? He's probably choking on vomit and blood.
Won't talk to me anymore. He won't look at me. He won't open his eyes.
Okay, I've got help on the way. Just keep an eye on his breathing.
When emergency responders arrived at the home,
so
Steven was
sad,
unresponsive and in critical condition. He was then rushed to Trinity Hospital, where
That's the death snore? Is that a thing? I don't know. I've never watched someone die in real life. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry. Death snore, also known as the death rattle, is a noisy gurgling sound that occurs when a person is nearing the end of their life. Loss of muscle tone in the throat and tongue, accumulation of fluids, mucus, and saliva in the upper airways due to weakened swallowing and coughing abilities. Oh, well, my first guess was that he was choking on something. That's horrifying.
doctors quickly
And
determined
she's just like, oh yeah, he's snoring.
his state was beyond what they could treat at the facility, so he was airlifted to a hospital in Bismarck for more advanced care. But unfortunately, it was already too late.
Wow.
Steven never regained consciousness and passed away on September 5th, 2023. So when investigators questioned Ina about what happened, she initially tried to maintain this heat stroke story. She claimed that her boyfriend had been drinking alcohol all day on September 3rd and suffered from a heat stroke, which was supposed to explain his symptoms. But the toxicology report had already proven there was zero alcohol in his system. So that explanation immediately fell apart. Then Ina started providing increasingly bizarre and alternate explanations on how Steven might have ingested antifreeze. She suggested that he could have gone into the garage, dropped a cigarette in some antifreeze, and then smoked the antifreeze-soaked cigarette.
The antifreeze is liquid. How would he have lit the cigarette? Dude. This is some low IQ epic moment, man. That's something, man.
Yeah, because that's something that definitely happens.
Yeah,
she also claimed that she Googled the symptoms of a heat stroke and discovered that a heat stroke symptoms mimic poisoning, which is why she just thought that he needed rest rather than medical attention. But when prosecutors performed the exact same Google search using the same terms, they found no reference to a heat stroke mimicking poisoning anywhere in the search results. I tried doing the same thing as obviously I couldn't find anything. I also got the AI response, which definitely doesn't include any of that, but I'm also unsure if you got the AI response back in 2023 or not. But either way, it is not adding up. Ina also tried to shift blame onto Steven's friends, claiming that Wesley Torgerson had specifically told her not to call 911, which is why she didn't seek medical treatment for her boyfriend. But this directly contradicted the statements from Wesley himself and multiple other witnesses. All of them said they were actively begging Ina to get Steven to a hospital or call emergency services. And during the interrogation, Ina revealed what investigators already suspected was her motive for the crime. She admitted that she was fully aware of the supposed $30 million inheritance, and she'd been planning to split the money with Steven's son after that he was gone. Yet, hadn't considered two major issues. Number one, Ina told detectives that she believed that she was entitled to a portion of the inheritance because she considered herself Steven's common law wife. She genuinely thought that after 10 years together, she had legal spousal rights to his estate. However, a massive problem here is North Dakota doesn't legally recognize common law marriages.
It's not Texas. We learned that from the XQC drama, remember? Yeah, his crazy ex-girlfriend tried to pull that off. Yeah. Get the lawyer up
even if the inheritance had been real, even if Steven had gone naturally, and even if she hadn't planned this whole thing, she still wouldn't have been legally entitled to a single dollar of his estate. But then you have number two, which is probably the worst one, is the fact that the inheritance didn't even exist. Because as it turns out, investigators with the Minot Police Department later spent a lot of time trying to track down the source of this alleged inheritance, and they found nothing. They couldn't identify any legitimate estate worth $30 million, couldn't find any distant relatives who'd passed away that would even be able to leave that kind of money. And they also couldn't identify the person who had been communicating with Steven about the supposed windfall, which led them to their conclusion. The whole thing was a scam. They're expecting this is some sort of like advance fee fraud or something like that designed to eventually extract money from Steven once he was convinced the inheritance was actually real. So this woman ended her boyfriend's life over an inheritance check that she had no legal right to claim from an
People have done for less. I mean, honestly, I think that the 30 million wouldn't have deterred her even if it was just $1 million.
State that didn't exist, and this is all while believing in a legal relationship that North Dakota doesn't even recognize. I mean, every single element of her plan was based on false assumptions and money that was not real. How is it possible to do that to yourself and the guy that I get? Well, apparently she didn't love him that much because I guess she was worried that he was going to leave him. Man, I don't even know how to feel about this. Well, obviously I feel disgusted about this, but still, like, this is just so messed up. How
people have killed each other over like a cheeseburger, man. I am not surprised.
Is this story real? It sounds like a parody. This sounds like the plot for a very messed up movie. It would be an entertaining movie, but still, how does she exist? This woman just paid the ultimate stupid tax because on October 30th, 2023, investigators with Minot Police Department executed a search warrant at the home that Ina and Steven had shared in northwestern Minot. Minot. I keep pronouncing the name differently of the place. It's Minot. I think it's Minot, right? Anyway, they executed the search warrant on this house in Minot, and what they found was basically a roadmap for the crime. In the garage, they discovered a plastic mug containing antifreeze. They found a glass Coors Light bottle with traces of what appeared to be the poison residue. And then, I guess just sitting in the living room, they found an old Windex bottle without a cap, filled with bright green liquid, which turned out to be poison. So with enough evidence to completely seal the deal on the same day, nearly 2 months after the incident, the Minot Police Department arrested Ina Thayer-Kinoer and essentially charged her with a Class A felony murder. The case immediately drew national and international media attention for how absurdly tragic the circumstances were. And Ina was held at the Ward County Jail with bail set to $1 million. And in March of 2024, she had sent the North Dakota State Hospital in Jamestown for a complacency evaluation to determine whether she was mentally fit to stand trial. And after completing the evaluation, the case moved forward to a pretrial pretrial conference on May 24th, 2024. During the hearing, Ina was offered the opportunity to exchange her plea from not guilty to guilty in exchange for a sentencing recommendation from both her attorney and the prosecution, potentially facing up to life in prison without parole. And on October 16, 2024, more than a year after what happened, Ina Kenoyer appeared before a judge once again who accepted the joint sentencing recommendation that had been negotiated between her attorney and the Ward County State. 50 years.
That attorney needs to get a raise because they managed to give him 25 years instead of life for taking someone else's life for no reason whatsoever.
Prison total, with 25 years to be served behind bars, 25 years suspended, followed by 10 years of supervised probation after her release.
Ina Kenoyer was sentenced to 50 years, but as part of a plea agreement, she'll only
50. They didn't even I mean, 50 is probably enough for her to, die in prison. But still, I don't know.
serve half of that. Kenoyer pleaded guilty.
She's a woman, so that's dumb. It doesn't. It shouldn't be lower because she's a woman. She killed someone.
In May to murder in the death of 51-year-old Stephen Riley Jr. Investigators say they believe Kenoyer poisoned Riley on the false belief she would receive part of a multi-million-dollar inheritance upon his death. Police have since said they believe that inheritance likely never existed.
She was also ordered to pay $3,455 in restitution to Stephen's family to cover funeral expenses and other costs related to his death. That sounds
they gave him $3,000 and now they have a dead dad.
Incredibly low to me. A funeral costs a whole lot more than $3,000, that's for sure.
I'm just a girl.
The Minot Police Department also spent a considerable amount of time trying to track down the source of the scam. But the person who first sent Stephen the fake inheritance notification,
I think that judges that go lenient based on gender need to be held accountable. I know this might be a hot take to some people. You should be held accountable. Especially if, a person gets released and then they go and murder someone again. I think that you should get held accountable. Go back and find the judge who did that and was like, yeah, this person seems good. Of course, context matters. Again, there have been cases of murderers being really, really good, and then they come out 30 years later, and then they manage to do it again. Even with all the signs of them being, quote-unquote normal in prison. But there's just some people who, do it over and over and over again, and it's when is enough? I don't know.
Was never identified. And I mean, just from hearing about these scams before.
Well, I am a Frostfire Fox. Yeah, it's ice cold hot take.
Most likely, the person who did the first call was not even in the US. And sadly, this is probably the oldest and most common internet scam there's ever been. This is essentially one of those Nigerian prince scams. It's oh, you actually could be inheriting this buttload of money from this Nigerian prince here. You just have to send them enough money so they can pay for the transfer of your money. $3,000, please. Thankfully, younger people aren't falling for this stuff, but unfortunately,
you would be surprised. A lot of people's Discord accounts and Roblox accounts get hacked every day, even with online media consumption. I think literacy has gone down because of this.
The elder generation sometimes slips through the cracks and falls for it. And this time it ended up indirectly causing someone's death. So that's just crazy to think that the scammer probably has no idea that their fake inheritance notification led to an actual murder. And it's genuinely hard to understand the decision making that led to this crime in the first place, because what was she thinking? I mean, clearly she wasn't thinking. Because even if we set aside everything, her plan had zero chance of success from the beginning. Because again, the inheritance did not exist, so there was never any money to claim, and then North Carolina doesn't even recognize the common law marriage. So come on, you played yourself, woman. Every single element of this plan was just fundamentally flawed. And to think that if Ina just could have let Stephen leave and she just accepted the end of the relationship, he would have still been alive today, and he probably would have looked like a complete moron because he would have just been scammed, and she wouldn't have been scammed. I guess she got scammed out of a 10-year relationship by a fake inheritance scam, but
and ruined your life. Now you're in prison for 25 years. Should be life, but
either way, both would have been alive today, and he would have been a big fool. But instead, he's gone, she's in prison, and two families are permanently destroyed, all for absolutely nothing. But other than that, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.
Bye, Tozy! Thanks for being making me hate the universe just a little bit more. In a very loving and fun way. Huh, what's going on? Murder. Murder is happening. So fucked. Unbelievable, man! Chad, would you murder me for like 10 chicken nuggets? I bet you would, you little slimy little rat. You would. You would. You'd do it, wouldn't you? Yes, 3. Wow, you're cheap! I'd do it for 6. I'll do it for 1. So, I didn't see a single person type 0. So 1 is the limit? So 1's the limit, not 0. I'll do it for free. There it is. There it is. There's 1. Yeah. Oh, you guys are too funny.